Avatar,
हर
Meher
मेहर
Baba,
बाबा की जय।
Avatar,
हर
Meher
मेहर
Baba,
बाबा की जय। अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय। Jai Baba to all of you. Thank you. Uh, it doesn't matter if I am not able to hear you, but you can hear me now. Today, I have something to read before you. Some portions, some incidents from Baba's new life. Why I have taken them for today's reading is that they are very heart touching, very heart touching. And apart from that, the forbearance of these Baba's companions, it was a testing time for them. It was a trial for them, in fact. And as we know that Dr. Gani has been involved in these incidents. That is why I have taken this for today's reading. And because it is so beautifully put, I have chosen to read it before you. Because, yes, just to the language and the points which Eretz has put before us, they are very important from the point of understanding what was Baba's new life. We know that this certain phases of Baba's new life is very difficult to understand, and the new life is a sort of a enigma for all of us. It's very difficult to understand Baba's objects in going on your life and all that. So I will start reading now. After Belgaum, before that, I would like to tell that when the meetings for New Life were held in Mehrabad, and the conditions were read out for all the people, and when everyone was given a chance to say yes or no, that time Dr. Gani was not very much inclined to join this new life. The obvious reason must have been that he had his family to maintain, and the conditions of new life were just following Meher Baba as his companion, as their companion. Meher Baba is not has abandoned his godhood, and he has become a companion for all the other companions who were going with Meher Baba. So that was the situation, and Dr. Gani was not had not made up his mind to join Baba. But then indirectly, Baba Baba suggested that Dr. Gani should come, should every time it has been noticed in the relation between Meher Baba and Dr. Gani. Baba has never allowed him to settle into his material life. Baba wanted him to be with him all the time. And so in new life also, Baba wanted that God, Dr. Gani should join. And then thereafter, Dr. Gani also joined the new life. Now, there are certain incidents which are I would say, very, a sort of a giving out their feeling which have been suppressed in their minds, suppressed in their hearts. God, Dr. Gani was more or less a mouthpiece for all the mentally people, all the companions. And he had to face Baba. He had to express and he has to face Baba. I mean, this reprimand from Baba. So I'm just going to read a portion. Now, these people had gone to, from Belgaum, they proceeded to, they first proceeded to North India. And in North India, they went to Banaras, then they went to another place which is Sarnath. And after Sarnath, they proceeded to Moradabad, and from Moradabad, they were traveling towards Jaunpur. Jaunpur is a place in northern India, and therefrom I am just reading this. As we went to north towards Moradabad, walking and begging, we came to a place called Jaunpur, famous for its radishes. They are as big as your thighs, yet really very tender in spite of their size. They were white and longish, not round. So when you have one in your arms, it looks as though you are carrying a giant's leg. When we came to Jaunpur and our procession wound through the street of that city, that is Jaunpur, it happened unfortunately that the school had just closed. Now, from here, the interesting part starts. The school had just closed. All the students followed us. It was a caravan going along with one horse, then one bullock cart, and that caravan. All that was going on through the streets, and the school going children were curious, they had become curious about doing this. So we said on pilgrimage, and they taunted. What type of people are these? Taking donkeys with them. And some said they are just pulling our leg. They are a team of actors and actresses going out for something, some shooting. We proceeded to outskirts of and stayed there. By the time we reached Jaunpur, tempers were flaring up among the companions. When they approached Jaunpur, the tempers of the companies were getting their flaring up. What happened was that certain of the companions were doing hard work and others were doing nothing, following the party. As the start, at the start, Baba had said that when all set out on the new life, each one would do his share. But Dr. Ghani never expected that he would have to walk all that distance. Surely, Baba would give him some favors. After all, he was Baba's schoolmate, and Baba would allow his age, and Gustaji was there too, an old man. The first night after reaching Jaunpur, we slept in the open. That is what Erach is reporting. There is a conversation between Erach and Don Stevens. Don Stevens was on one side and Erach and Money on the other side. And Don Stevens raises some queries, and Erach gives very beautiful answers to that queries. Now, what he says, the first night after reaching Jaunpur, we slept in the open, and it was terribly cold. It was in the month of December. Gustaji, poor fellow, could not get up in spite of his being awake. He could not move his body. He was so stiff. In the morning, Baba was ready to greet his companions. There were standing orders that they should expect his wish to see them and keep ready in the group. But there was Gustaji lying down, unable to get up, and other old people too, who could not move. Dr. Ghani was one of them. When I went round to bring them to Baba, they started shouting at me. They started shouting at me, well, you have a fine time with the head of the group. You have a fine time with the head of the group. All you do is just to follow him. That's all. Do you know what work we have to do? Then each one started on me. My own companions were accusing me of having good time with Baba. I did not say anything as I knew that Baba was expecting the companions to come. I said, well, whatever it is, this is in our fate. We ought to accept it and the hardships. Oh, you can accept it because you don't go through all these things. That is the people say, companies say that they say to Airaj, oh, you can accept it because you don't go through all these things. Then I began to find out what had brought all this to head. Dr. Nilu was out of sorts and had completely lost control of his mood. Dr. Nilu had completely lost control of his mood, the pleasant mood that all were enjoyed to keep. The reason for this was that when we had passed through the city where we would spend the night, he had to pass by a octroi booth. Octroi is a tax, entry tax. Octroi booth where city tax was on entrance is collected. He was carrying a calf on his back because it would not walk that long distance. Being a strong person, it was easy at first for him to do this, but he got tired after carrying the calf for some miles. When he came to the octroi post, he was stopped by the people and asked for the taxes. We companions did not carry any money with us. So there was nothing for him to do but stop there, as the collectors would not let him go further without paying the tax. He could not leave the calf there, and besides, there was also Patil, who was also old man, and the cow in his charge. They explained the whole position to tax collectors, but you know how harsh and rude they can be. They would not accept their explanations. It was a nominal tax of 8 annas or so, but even that they did not have. Finally, somebody took pity on them and paid the tax. The long delay and humiliation were the cause of Dr. Nilkant being out of sorts. He said, you don't know anything about our hardships. You go ahead with Baba. You stop when he stops. And when the women went to stop, you and Baba and the women have a good time. And here are we, left behind with all this zoo. You have no idea of our hardships. This is Nilo. Then Patil started to flare up. He said, do you know to be done when you want tea in the morning? Do you know that? For that, I have to get up early in the morning and milk the cow. It takes time. How do you think you get milk? And so forth. All that was pent up in their hearts, and what they wanted to complain about Baba was blurted out to me. Then Dr. Ghani came. He said, "What do you think, Erich? Being a sportsman, do you think it's fair for our companion is he referring to Meher Baba, do you think it's fair on our companion to allow these old people to be dragged about like this?" He said that he is our companion, and if he is, should not he make allowances for the old people? Should not he walk shorter distances? Should not he not allow us to sit in the carts and tongas? This camel cart is going about empty, and the caravan is absolutely unused except to give the women a nice salon to rest at night. And there is a tonga there that carries nothing but cooking utensils. So a camel cart, another cart, a tonga, and all this just going to waste. Can't he allow us to sit in these carts and tongas? It would be so easy then for us all. That is the pleading done by Dr. Ghani. All this time, as they presented their grievances, Baba was waiting for them to come. I tried to suggest that it was no help to have this mood now. That is Erich. See how balanced Erich is. He says, I tried to suggest that it was no help to have this mood now. And besides, I quite well understood their difficulties. But then they started talking about the problems of drawing water from the well. The whole party had to be supplied with water, including the camel and the horse, the cow, the asses, and the bullocks. Then every evening, we also had to go out to find fodder for the animals. All this was a burden on these people, while I had only to be on Baba's side. Naturally, the brunt of their complaints fell on me. That is, Eris says. There, Don asks him, "You were the altar Baba." Yes, yes, finally I said, "It's not good to talk about it now. Well, think over the matter later and come on." Then Donkin also flare up. Donkin says, "Do you know how to handle this horse? He is not a horse, he is a devil." And so on. All right, I said, "Now let's go to Baba. It's time to keep a cheerful face and let's go." So we went and everything was all right. Baba just made a little fun with us, and that was all. Somehow that day passed off very well. In the presence of Baba, nothing was expressed, nothing exposed. Baba said that we would make a halt for 2 or 3 days at Jaunpur and then proceed further. I don't know why he planned this and told us about it just then, maybe in order to help the companions, especially the older ones, or perhaps he was marking time for something that was to follow. In any case, when after some time Baba went back to the women's side for his lunch, and while we were having our time off, I found Dr. Ghani trying to give a lecture to the companions. Now, Ghani is giving a lecture to the companions. What he says is, we find all sorts of parties giving lectures in Maidan, meaning the open places. Why can't our group here express their feelings? Baba says he is no longer the God man. See the argument which Gani made. Baba says he is no longer the God man for us. No more the masters. He is just a companion. And cannot a companion express it difficult to his fellow companions? Why not? And the other said, of course. Why can't we do that? If the new life means a life of companionship, why can't we express our difficulties? I said, yes, you can well express your difficulties. But the trouble is, we can't put on a long face in the presence of Baba. That's the order that comes in our way if we want to express our displeasure. Without breaking an order, I know one way out, Dr. Gari said. That is to go on strike. The next morning, when our boss comes, we will go on strike. That is Gani's advice, advising all these people. He started calling Baba the boss. He asked if everyone would do that. Some hands were raised. Yes, we will do that. Why not? Because we are tired of this life. And how can we go on like this unless and until there is some help given to us? How long are we going to go on like this? Baba had said in the beginning, you recall, that it was going to be a new life without end. And we had set out in the conviction that we would not return to the old ways and places. The next day came, and it was all planned that nobody would approach Baba. They have decided not to approach Baba on Gandhi's advice. Nobody, even if he were to clap for someone to come, they asked me what part I would play. They are asking Erech what part Erech will play. And Erech said, I said, all I can say is that I will have to be with Baba. And I don't agree with you people because I have no such difficulties. They said, you are a hypocrite. They are calling Erech a hypocrite. And again, they started to flare up. It was all in good faith. This is very important. See, it was all in good faith, mind you, with no hatred whatsoever. They were just giving vent to their feelings. The funny part happened on that day. Baba came as usual, of course, giving no sign that he knew anything in the air. He was bound to do that because he was only our companion in the new life. He was in really jolly mood, but he did not approach the companion, keeping a distance under the shade of a tree. See the tactics which Baba plays here. He keeps sitting under a tree. We will have to conference over there. Call all the companies. That is what Baba says. We will have conference under this tree. Call them here. You know how strikers are. You can visualize how they were. The boss had come, but they were determined not to go to him. Baba said, while I went and said to him, look here, Baba has come and he wants you all, because there is going to be a conference, a very important conference. They did not say anything to me. I was an outcast. Eras was put an outcast. I kept quiet for a bit and then told them, this is not good. This won't look good. It is not proper thing for us to do. Dr. Gani can afford to do this because he is not only a companion of Baba, but a schoolmate as well. And you know what latitude Baba gives him, but not to others. One person hesitated and looked up, then another. I went to Baba and he said, "What's the matter? Are not they coming?" I said, "Yes, Baba, they will be coming." Then Baba looked and said, "What's the matter? Why are they standing there? Haven't you given them order?" I said, "Yes, Baba, they are coming." Baba probably knew that something was brewing, so he waited patiently. One after the other, they started to come. One after the other, they started to come, but Dr. Gani would not stand. How could he? He was the leader. He would lose face. Baba then said words to me, to Dr. Gani. Whatever is in your mind, if you have got daring, that is challenge with Baba, Baba is giving. If you got a daring, he told me to praise these points. If you have got the daring, you should come and face the situation and open out your heart to your companion. These were the same words that Dr. Gani had used to influence the others. And now Baba was using them against him. Dr. Gani flared up. What? I have not, I haven't got daring? Of course, I have a daring to come and speak these things to my companion. Why should I not? Why should I not do that? I have been telling just that to these people. So he came, Baba said, "What's the matter?" Instead of saying what the matter was, he accused those sitting there by saying, now, Ganesh is upset with the other people who had left him and came to Baba. He accused those sitting there saying, all these companions of ours are nothing but hypocrites, Baba. Baba said, why you unilaterally describe them as hypocrites? What have they done? He said, what have they done? They promised me that they would not approach you today. And they promised me that they would they would abide by our decision that we would. Baba cut him short and said, "But who are you to be promised anything by anybody?" I was reading out Baba's gestures, but this annoyed Dr. Gani. He said to me, you stop speaking now. I understand Baba's gestures. Gani is getting upset and said, tells you, you stop. I can understand. You stop talking now. Why do we have to say this thing? And in the midst of all this flare up of Dr. Gani, while Baba remained quiet, all the thoughts and feelings that these companions had were completely forgotten, and Dr. Gani was made a scapegoat. Then Baba said to Dr. Gani, "Do you know that I am not only your companion, but I am also your schoolmate? Do you remember how we used to wrestle together? Would you want to wrestle now and settle the issue?" That made Dr. Gani laugh. And from then on, it became very friendly meeting and everything was forgotten. After that day, great change took place. Nobody harbored any ill feelings, grudges, or anything of that sort. We were just as we had been at the start. This particularly episode that happened is very important from the point of view of understanding Baba's new life. Now, Don asks, So that was a high water mark, the crisis point. Yes, the crisis point in Jaunpur. Now Don says, now just a technicality. Eraj presumably Gunny was angry when he accused all other companions of having betrayed him. So he broke the basic rule that Baba had laid down. It's a basic question that presumably Gunny was angry when he accused all other companions of having betrayed him. So he broke the basic rule that Baba had laid down. Now Erez gives a reply. See, it's a very awkward question, but Erez gives a beautiful reply. No, there was no anger. He simply said what he had to say with great emphasis. There was no anger. Don says, so he could not be accused of being in a mood. In new life, these moods were not allowed. He was stating the fact without being moody, so he got under the wire. Eris replies, yes, but we could not feel that he was saying it with feeling. He felt that they were hypocrites, but at the same time, he did not express any anger towards them. So Baba could not say, so Baba could not say, Gunny out. Yes, no, no. They wanted a concession from Baba. And to do this, they decided to go on strike. What was a strike intended to get from Baba? That they should be allowed to sit in the cars that were going empty all the day. Also, animals were being fed. There was money for their fodder, but no money for food for the companions. That they thought was very improper to look after the needs of animals and not the needs of the human beings. Were human beings worse than animals in this new life? So they built up a situation to convince Baba that he should be more generous to the care given to his companions than that was given to animals. Now Don asks, Eraj, as far as you are aware, did that type of resentment ever arise again? Eraj replies, none was ever evident. No flare-ups? Eraj said, no flare-ups after that great one that took place at the Jaunpur. And that too only because it grew from a certain background of incidents. They were all fatigued after a long march from Sarnath to Jaunpur. The animals had started giving a lot of trouble. The problems en route had been ridiculing the idea of going on pilgrimage with two donkeys and a horse and had been a lot trouble as well as the camel. Strain in every direction. It is said strain in every direction, yes. And to top it all, we had no rest. Whenever we camped, someone had to go in search of fodder for the animals, others had to beg for food for the companions, and others had still further duties to tend to. Don says, Eraj, in the months that followed, was there any flare up between any of the companions, even outside of Baba's eyesight? Eraj says, yes, there was. I should be very fair and frank. There was a flare up at the fag end of the new life when some of the companies were told to earn their own livelihood and we entered into a business. Did you know of that? Yes, just a little about the background. Now it is about the they're shifting to Delhi and doing some ghee business. In fact, how even in the beginning there were questions, answers, questions from Dawn. and answers from Eraj, always we find, and in my contact with Meher Baba, I have found very few people who would give a very proper, convincing answer to any question raised before them. And Eraj was one of them. Dr. Ghani was also there. Mani was also there. These were the people who had grasped the ways of Meher Baba in a very good spirit. And whenever any question is raised by anyone about Baba's particular actions or Baba's particular phases of life, they will give a very apt answer. And about Eraj, I can say that I have found many times whenever we raise any question before Eraj, Eraj would not give a dictating answer. He won't do that. He won't take that authority to himself. What we'd say that this is what I understood from Baba. That was his role always. We feel, outsiders feel that Eraj being so close to Baba, all the time attended to Baba. So he has acquired some little authority to say on Baba's behalf, yes or no to people. But that he will never do. I had my own experience about that. One incident which I remember is that during Baba's one of the seclusion periods in Guru Prasad, Baba was not allowing anybody to go and see him. He was in a very strict seclusion. In spite of his being in Guru Prasad, he was in seclusion and he was not allowing anybody to come to Guru Prasad. And then I found out an idea just to approach indirectly. That was a very fair idea. I never expected that I should be allowed to see Baba in that case. But then I thought that it was the birthday of my first daughter, and I had thought that we should send food to Baba and his mandali. And from the back door, I went to Eraj and put up my proposal. Eraj could have given his reply, but he didn't do that. I told him that Eraj, even a tinge of displeasure on Baba's face about his proposal, I will withdraw from this proposal. I won't insist for it. I wanted to send food for Baba and the mandali with Baba on the occasion of the birthday of my first daughter. And when I told Eraj, Eraj told me that I will go and ask Baba. If he says yes, no problem. So he went inside and I told Eraj, a little displeasure on Baba's face. I won't I won't proceed further. I would take back my proposal. And then after after a little time, he came out and told me that Baba very willingly has given his permission for you to send the food for Baba and the Mandali. And you will get the instruction thereafter. So this was the incident, and many such incidents. Whenever any query, Erechwi simply said that this is what I understood from Baba. He won't give any authoritative answer from himself. He will simply say that this is what I have understood. Recently, I read about Mani giving an answer about Mehra. Somebody, it has perhaps come in some of the uh, early magazines, or perhaps yes, the the question was asked by somebody that during Baba's time, Baba's lifetime on this earth, nobody was allowed to see Mehra. No gents were allowed to see Mehra, and Mehra was not allowed to see look at any gent. That was the strictly followed orders from Meher Baba. Now, after Baba dropped his body, Mehra also passed away. So people wanted to know whether it was proper to bow down to Mehra's samadhi, put their head on that samadhi. That was the question. And Mani, without taking any authority to herself, she said that it is everybody's feeling. It's open for everyone to decide about himself or herself. There is no such thing as either putting a restriction or allowing anybody. From our side, we don't do that. We can't do that. We neither allow nor restrict. It is individual feeling of people. If they feel, they may do it. If they don't feel, they may not do it. It's a beautiful letter she had written there. Ultimately, she has expressed the special position of Mera in the Mahila, in the ladies Mandali. So this was all about that, about these people, especially when I read Dr. Gani. Of course, he had a liberty to put his questions before. In fact, Dr. Gani was a medium, has become a medium to plead on behalf of the other people. And Baba had given a long rope for that. He could speak out on behalf of the people before Baba, and Baba would listen to that. This was a liberty which was given to Dr. Gani. And apart from that, the the spiritual, the questions of deep spiritual knowledge, these questions were also allowed to be asked by only Dr. Gani. Baba would not listen to any other people. But if Dr. Gani puts the question, Baba would be interested in to reply that. And that is why through such incidents, these other people were benefited to know the spiritual secrets, or spiritual, what is a spiritual life, how it should be lived, and all that. They could learn from through Dr. Gani. So this is all about the relation with Dr. Gani and Meher Baba. During this new life, we can imagine what type of life in these people must have faced. A elderly person like Now, Dr. Gani was elder to Meher Baba by about 1 year or so. So also Gustaji was elder to Meher Baba. So also Shilke Patil was also elder to Meher Baba. So they were old people and were being dragged in this new life. And they were not able to do that. They were not able to cope up with the requirement of the new life. But then it was, it was, I would say it was successfully carried out, because what Baba had thought, Baba, Baba had sent back after their return to Dehradun. Baba had made out certain plans, and certain senior people were sent back to their families. And Dr. Ghani was one of them. But when Dr. Ghani came back to us, he joined us, started giving lectures to us. That time, through his talks, the agony of being separated from Meher Baba, that used to be felt by us. We were feeling that agony in his talks. So he could neither face the difficulties of new life, nor he could stay away from Meher Baba for longer time. Anyway, these are the really people, they have made us history, and we are following the steps, their steps, how they have served Meher Baba. Now, for today, still there is time. Huh?
Device बदलतोय म्हणून.
Just a minute for a change over. Yes.
Yes.
Lately, one small poem has come to my hands. That is the composition of Meher Baba. Enjoy. It is just a poem of a couple of stanzas. I will read out the meaning and thereafter sing for you. Now, through these talks about the new life, I am going to describe about the meeting which Baba had held in Mahabaleshwar. That was on 16th of October 1950. Perhaps I would be able to do that next time. And also, I would like to sing that song of new life before you. So today, there is one poetry, a small poetry, which has recently come to our hands. This is composed by Meher Baba. That is said that is composed by Meher Baba. I hope you can hear me, no? You can hear me, no? Oh. The original words are इश्तिया के शौक जब हद से सिवा हो जाए, हद से सिवा हो जाएगा, सामने आंखों के वो जलवा नमा हो जाएगा. The meaning of these lines are, when your passion for God becomes intense beyond limit, you will see His glory right in front of your eyes. क्या कहूँ ऐ दिल खुदी खोकर तू क्या हो जाएगा, वासिले हक होगा बंदे से खुदा हो जाएगा. The meaning is, what can I tell you about what you will become when you lose your ego? You yourself, the lover, will become the beloved. You yourself, the lover, will become the beloved. The third stanza is, कानों में आकर के वो कहे गए मुझे पर्दी की बात. कानों में आकर के वो कहे गए मुझे पर्दी की बात, मैं तेरा हो जाऊंगा जो तू मेरा हो जाएगा. He whispered in my ear the secret beyond the veil. I will become all yours when you become all mine. It's a small poetry.
That's in Gujarati.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
That's in Gujarati. Ishtiyaq is Gujarati.
There's some problem in this.
He can't hear. Something's going on with the audio.
Yes, please say. What is your query? What you said?
I was just asking, the language is Gujarati. Ishtiyaq is in Gujarati. Yeah.
इश्तियाक के
गुजराती शब्द आहे.
शौक जब.
Yeah.
इश्तियाक के शौक जब हद से सिवा हो जाए, when it beyond the limit, सामने आंखों के वो जलवानुमा हो जाए. When your passion for God becomes intense beyond limit, you will see His glory right in front of your eyes. That is the stanza. इश्तियाक के शौक जब हद के सिवा हो जाएगा, इश्तियाक के शौक जब हद से सिवा हो जाएगा। इश्तिया के शौक जब हद से गुजर जब जाएगा, सामने आंखों की वो सामने आकर के वो जलवानुमा हो जाएगा। सामने आकर के वो जलवानुमा हो जाएगा। इश्तिया के शौक जब हद के सिवा हो जाएगा, सामने आके वो जब जलवानुमा हो जाएगा। क्या कहूँ है दिल, क्या कहूँ ये दिल खुदी होकर तू क्या हो जाएगा। क्या कहूँ ऐ दिल खुदी होकर तू क्या हो जाएगा। हाँ वासिले हक होगा, वासिले हक होगा, बंदे से खुदा हो जाएगा। वासिले होगा बंदे से खुदा हो जाएगा। कानों में आकर वो कह गए, कानों में आकर कानों में आकर वो कहे गए मुझे पर्दे की बात। कानों में आके वो कह गए मुझे पर्दे की माँ। मैं तेरा हो जाऊंगा जो, मैं तेरा हो जाऊंगा तू मेरा हो जाएगा। मैं तेरा हो जाऊंगा जो तू मेरा हो जाएगा। इश्तिया के शौक जब हद से सिवा हो जाएगा, सामने आंखों की वो जलवानुमा हो जाएगा। This is said to be Meher Baba's composition. Recently it has come out. I think somebody must have found. Nowadays there has been something much going on, digging out the old records and finding something here and there. This is Urdu language. Urdu language. Baba's favorite language was Persian, in fact. But Urdu, Baba used to use. Baba's language used to be very peculiar, typical mixture of all the languages. Especially if you read the composition which Baba had made on Dhuni. Baba has composed song on Dhuni. That is a mixture of so many languages. So Baba's once in Guru Prasad Baba had said that, somebody said that Urdu language has such a depth, that it touches your heart. And in reply, reaction, Baba says that Persian is far, far above the Urdu language. Persian is far above. And many times, many occasions, Baba would ask Aloba to recite certain verses whenever there is any subject touching that particular poetry. So many occasions, Baba would ask Aloba to recite some Persian verses to explain a particular point. That used to happen in Guru Pusa several times. So Baba, I think during Baba's early age, Baba's father used to explain to Baba the religious books from Persian, and that is how Baba could understand Persian so well. Hafiz Baba used to learn from his father. So this is for today. I have picked up this topic because we are having a Padayatra from Pune to Mehrabad starting on 17th of October and ending in Mehrabad on 21st of October. This particular Padayatra is being taken out on the occasion of Padayatra means the walk. A walk from Pune, from birthplace to resting place. That is the Padayatra. It's walk. Four stops are in between. 4 night halts in between. On the fifth day we will be reaching there. The purpose of this is we are celebrating the, I think 70th or 75th, 71st anniversary of Baba's new life. And the idea is just to give a little glimpse of the hardships which Baba's companions had faced during Baba's new life. Just a glimpse of that. Our people should experience it. And that way we had earlier also, we had taken out 3 Padayatras until this is the 4th one that we are taking out. So on that, it is just connecting our feeling to the hardship which Baba's companions had faced during the new life. So that is the reason why I had taken this topic. It has come into my reading, and I thought that it will be a good topic for us to understand the depth of new life which Erech has grasped through his contact with Baba. The answers which Erech has given are very, very apt answers, very, very well thought answers, very deep answers Erech has given to these companions. And believe me that Erech had to face a person like Dr. Ghani. Ghani was all in all. Nobody can compete Dr. Ghani in understanding Baba's ways. But then ARH had acquired that knowledge even to feed Dr. Ghani. That is why, since we are going to have that walk from Pune to, from the birthplace to final resting place, that is why I have taken up this topic today. So we, for today, we will say 3 times Jai Baba, Avatar Mere Baba Ki Jai.
Vitar, Meher
Jai Baba ki jai.
Jai.
Avatar
Meher
Baba
Baba
ki
ki Jai.
Jai.
Baba
Meher Baba
Baba
ki
ki
ki jai.
Jai Baba, all of you, Jai Baba, and thank you so much for
Baba.
patient
Yeah.
listening, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
And thanks, Baba.
Jai Baba. Jai.